Hey, babes. Um, have you guys seen Game of Thrones? Okay. Then you might remember this little ditty. Um, I always saw this as a death awareness salutation. All men must die, but first, all men must serve. And the Missanders are eating it up, but it's really important to also consider that, like, yeah, death does come. We don't know when, but first we serve. Um, and I am a doula. So the Greek word, the word doula originates in Greek, and it means to someone who serves women. So gender binary aside, the practice I have is a holistic support practice, and that means that I support birthing people and artists. So creation in some form or another. I think we need a slide hit. Thank you. And that all started when my mom met my dad and they had me, and then immediately split up. But there is definitely like an innate need to serve that, I mean, I identify in my Virgo second house placement, but also, you know, I was indoctrinated into Catholicism quite early. That's baby Blaine playing Jesus in a passion play. And I think all children necessarily sometimes have this need to serve, especially sometimes when you're parenting a parent, which was the case definitely in my relationship with my mother. And there was something that was really beautiful about how this need for service was also connected to a spirituality of mine, for the recognition of spirituality from a young age, because those roots of spirituality for me were planted in two pillars: art and nature. And really, art and nature are two halves of the same coin of the divine, right? Like an expression of the soul. There we go. And nature is heavily connected to me through my lineage. My dad being from Honduras, you know, it wasn't until I was 10 that I was able to see where he grew up. And as like a city kid in the performing arts, it was a really different experience to have this visceral play of like chasing lizards and, you know, sword fighting on the beach with sticks. And it was a way that I connected most with my culture through food and being there and kind of seeing how the rest of all my cousins lived in Tegucigalpa and also Roatan, the island off the mainland, the coast. So I was going probably throughout most of my childhood into my 20s. And it wasn't until I was there in 2019 for a residency at a clinic, Clinica Esperanza, and had already been, I think, twice over a karma yogi, and had really, you know, I'll save the arc of my 20s from like creative young professional in fashion to wellness birth worker practitioner. But the footnotes are a lot of personal healing and having to find inner compassion to be able to serve others in a more grounded and present way. So I just want to read this quote because it's another death awareness. Then spoke brave Horatius, the captain of the gates, to every man upon this earth death cometh soon or late. And how can man die better than facing fearful odds for the ashes of his fathers and the temples of his gods? We love the lays of ancient Rome. There was something that I needed to crack open in myself, in my personal healing, to be able to serve others. And it was a blessing, whatever seeds of karma that I had and planted, to be able to receive these teachings really changed how I was able to heal my own compassion. I had so much that I wanted to serve for others, but from a place that I needed to also start within myself. This is a video. Because it really do be like this sometimes. Like between the collective trauma of COVID, plagues that have been prior to that, a recession. Oh, there should not be sound. Sorry. Thank you. But maybe there will be. It feels like this without a centered and grounded place for you to approach everything that is fucking coming at you all the time. But what's so beautiful about these teachings is you're realizing it's not coming at you, it's coming from you. And when that is coming from a grounded and centered place, from your mind, from your practice, you're able to radiate it outwards. And how you do that is through joy, through compassion, and through kindness. I needed to process the grief of my mother's passing in this ancestral like oasis while being in service of others. It was the seed that allowed me to realize that it's not just about me and what service I can be giving to not just my, birth working clients, but the people in my life. Shout out to my 12th house, 12th house Black Moon Lilith in Cancer. Need to nurture. Call me mommy. And so you do this service for people, either through a tribe of Heart Sutra warriors, right? Or a collective of kindness, or even a constellation club. It's community, in short, that allows you to really plant these seeds of joy through what feels like an onslaught sometimes of need in the world. And that compassion that I was able to develop for myself in transformation through meditation, was everything that made birth work no longer like a job. It just became my life, and started to think about how my work also could support other people who support other people, right? Like in that bigger picture kind of thing. Maybe get a click. There we go. And so this seed had started to develop over the last maybe 3 or 4 years of what are the resources that I have that I can personally create space, hold space for other practitioners, other birth workers, other healers. And, there's all different kinds of retreats. I mean, I think the first retreat I did was in Tulum, like And most recently was a monastic retreat with the nuns in Plum Village in France. And so there's different kinds, and there's all good. They're all good. There's no better kind of retreat. But I think the awareness, especially in my culture and background, made me really see the need for an ethical responsibility of retreat spaces, and as practitioners as well, especially travel has been booming again since COVID. So with that thought in mind, I founded a nonprofit called Sana Wellness Inc. And in short, in layman's terms, our website is going to be launching soon. So definitely you'll be able to read the mission statement and values and vision and all these things at the start of the new year. But in layman's terms, think of like an artist in residency space, right? But for practitioners. So if you are a birth worker like myself, or a yogi or meditation teachers, all of these things, there's a residency cohort that we want to do annually or biannually, it depends on how funding looks. And to be able to create programs of service for the community based on the different applicants of practitioners. So in a residency, you're able to, work on your craft in a like monastic environment with a collective. And then how is that going to be able to serve people outside of it? It's pretty much the gist. Of course, retreat programming is also available for corporate or collectives, and the island itself has a massive tourism economy. So finding ethical ways that can offer that to everyone as well, or ethical opportunities like planting seeds for mangroves beyond, or beach cleanup, like direct action that can support the services to the people on the island. The clinic that I originally worked with, the majority of funding to support their work, as well providing other location for them to see patients. A myriad of things that my practice has allowed me to provide service for, and I want to do the same by amplifying other practitioners' practice. So with that, I ask, obviously watch the space, stay connected, but more importantly, stay connected to each other and stay connected to these teachings, stay connected to your practice. Thank you for your practice and thank you for your service.